hello there and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show, a special edition. Here I am saying another edition, like it's your run-of-the-mill Warren Hayes show. It's anything but tonight, folks. It's anything but your humdrum Thursday evening Warren Hayes show, yada yada thing. No, tonight we got ourselves something special here. We've got it's a Tuesday, which is unusual in and about itself, but you know, extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures. And recently, I was told that Zelo Pro Wrestling are making their extraordinary return to live shows out there in the Midwest, coming back with a show called Wrestlefest on May 1st. So, as I said, extraordinary times, extraordinary measures. It's time to talk about that show, and I have the distinct privilege of chatting here tonight with Matt Bacaling, the owner, promoter of Zelo Pro Wrestling, and we are going to be breaking down exclusively the entire card, or close to it, the entire card of Wrestlefest this year. Matt, it is a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Warren, I appreciate having me. I'll start off. I lost your audio again just shortly after that, but I was able to visualize the last part of your introduction. So I certainly appreciate you having me. I am beyond elated that we are here tonight having this conversation, and I appreciate the opportunity that we have to talk about our upcoming Wrestlefest event on May 1st. Turner Hall Ballroom, the historic venue in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We've had a little bit of a hiatus. We were certainly at the benefit of being able to run a little bit during the pandemic, and we can get into that. But I could not be more excited that we are getting back into live events here coming up in the next couple of weeks.
And it is, as you said, the Turner
Hall Ballroom.
Turner Hall Ballroom. It's a beautiful venue. On top of that, it's
incredible.
Really a beautiful place.
It's one of my favorite places to hold wrestling events. If you talk to some of today's hottest stars, including Adam Cole and Kevin Owens, they have expressed publicly that it is their favorite venue to wrestle in outside of major stadiums and arenas. So if you've never been, it's certainly an environment that is perfect for professional wrestling in the state of Wisconsin. And we have been so lucky, truly, to be able to call Turner Hall home for the last couple of events that we've had, and we're so excited to be coming back.
That's fantastic. And we're actually gonna start talking about the card, but before we do, if you're watching this live right now and you're like, hey, I know some of my pals out in Milwaukee or in the Green Bay area or wherever in Wisconsin, be like, hey, they got to know about this show. Send the link out. Go get them right now. Like this video. That kind of stuff really does help. Get the word out on Twitter. We're doing this live. We're going to be running down the card. There's going to be some wonderful surprises. And you know what? Just so that you guys know, Matt I don't even know the entire card yet. There's stuff on this card that Matt was like, nah, man, we're getting a live reaction from you tonight. So it's fantastic. But I'm glad we have people watching live right now. And look, there's a lot of stuff to get into, but you were talking about it. You're glad to be able to get back to Turner Hall. It is a beautiful venue, but 2020, man, you have to be happy to just get back into the game, putting on live shows, right? That's got to feel good.
Oh, elation is 100% the emotion right now. And I alluded a little bit. We were very lucky to be able to have pulled off a couple of events during the pandemic last summer in August, September, October. Two of those events were in Chicago. One of them was at Turner Hall Ballroom in Milwaukee in October. And we were never under the pressure or the influence to host events just to host events. We took everything very seriously, and we wanted to make sure that when we did come back, we were doing it for all the right reasons. And a lot of the reasons that we came back in the fall was really to help our venue partners out who were struggling being able to stay open for business, including Turner Hall, including Joe's on Weed Street in Chicago. And it truly was a collaboration between us and our venue partners to make sure that we could safely bring them a product that they could open their doors up again to a limited capacity crowd. And it worked out really well. The shows that we were able to pull off were very well received. They were approved by the local health department. So we were really proud of that. And we were able to use that as a case case study really for a lot of these markets for other events. And so when things closed down back again in the fall, when we got that second wave of COVID, it was a bummer for sure. And we kind of went through these last couple of months with some cautious optimism that we would get to the point that we're at now, but we really weren't sure. So to be at that point where, hey, we have dates on the calendar, we're looking at increasing capacities, people are getting vaccinated in larger amounts, and we're able to kind of return to these events safely, which with not as much skepticism as maybe we had in the fall. It's very, very exciting for everybody involved.
How much capacity will you be able will the show be able to run at?
So right now in Milwaukee, I believe they are at 50%, if not higher. We're going to limit that to 20% because we are within ourselves still cautious about everything. There's no reason to go out there and blow things up and kind of get too big for our britches. So 200 people is the capacity that we are keeping things at right now. Even if local ordinances change, we're going to stick to that for the time being until we feel more comfortable and the venue feels more comfortable. So right now we're capped at 200 people.
Okay, well that'll still
and it's under 25% capacity of Turner Hall. It allows us to keep everybody spread out, seated in pods, and it's about as safe as a manner as we possibly can.
Sure, absolutely. And by the way, if you guys can't make it out to Milwaukee for whatever reasons, like for instance, you live in the UK, well, it'll be available on Fight TV as well.
Absolutely.
On May 1st. So head on over to Fight TV and pre-order it right now. Why don't you? Well,
yes,
after the card, stick around here for a bit, and then head on over. Start talking about it, man. I mean, okay, so there's a couple of matches that we already know about, but I still want to talk about them. The first match that was announced was actually announced on exclusively on belltobells.com. The current Zelo women's champion Laney Luck is going to be defending her title against Jordynne Grace. So Laney's fantastic, wonderful human. 600 plus days right now as champion. So that's a great accomplishment. Jordynne Grace, well, I mean, if you even followed the indie scene in a modicum, just a tad, you know who Jordynne Grace is. She's a former Impact Knockouts champion, a former Progress champion as well. This is a big deal. It's a big defense for Laney. Tell us about this match, Matt.
Yeah, I'm incredibly stoked for it, and I know both the competitors are as well. To your point, Laney has held that title for 600 plus days. I believe it'll be close to 630 by the time May 1st comes around. So she is certainly our longest reigning champion. And you're talking about a title that has been held by Tessa Blanchard and Kylie Rae and Britt Baker. So Laney is fourth in line with this title. And now she's coming up against Jordynne Grace, who has never competed for the Zelo title before. So that'll be a first time for her. And it's probably Laney's biggest competition in Zelo Pro today, with all respect to everyone who she has competed against before, both before holding the title and during her reign. But she, when she came into the Zelo Pro women's title reign, she had defeated Shotzi Blackheart and Elena Black, now we know as Cora Jade in NXT, in a triple threat match. And over the course of her reign, she has defended against some very formidable opponents, most recently Alex Gracia and Brooke Valentine. And so this, in current day, this is going to be her biggest test to date as champion. She's had a long reign, asterisks in that it's been during the pandemic, but nonetheless, I think that we would still be at this point, nonetheless, whether we were running shows or not. So we're excited to have Jordynne back. Jordynne has wrestled for Zelo Pro before. The last time she was here, she did fairly well. She debuted at Turner Hall Ballroom for us in Milwaukee, defeating Laney Luck and Elena Black and Shotzi Blackheart in a four-way match. So coming off of that, it's certainly going to be the one to watch. We always have ramped up our women's division in the best ways that we possibly can. And I think that this match within itself is going to put that on another pedestal as a competition for Laney, as Jordynne is on a streak looking to collect more titles and under her repertoire. So I could not be more excited for this match and what the outcome might be.
I think it's I think it's a great match, and it was a good one to start straight off the bat. And Laney's fantastic. She really is. I even got an opportunity to see her live. What was it? I think it's 2 years ago already at the Impact Fan Show. At All Glory,
and she faced Kylie Rae and Shotzi Blackheart. That was quite the match.
Yeah, it was quite the match, and I even think it was Shotzi's last.
It was
indie
last
match, right?
Shotzi's last indie date. Yep.
So there you go. No, it was really good. Laney's fantastic, and Jordan's fantastic as well. So right then and there, I mean, that's just something exciting to look forward to.
What more do you need? But we have more.
We have more. Just hang on. I mean, we got more coming. You also announced a tag team match between the Bang Bros and Country Air. Country Air, I don't know how much you want to talk about the other promotions, but they're currently Insane Championship Wrestling Tag Team Champions. Yep. They've been around the block a couple of times. Bang Bros, fairly new. Not going to lie, not super familiar with them. Do you want to chat us up, as another podcaster would say, about Bang Bros?
Absolutely. So the Bang Bros have all the potential in the world. To your point, they've been working the scene for, really just before the pandemic started. So they got some reps in 2019 and 2020. They are products of the Freelance Wrestling Academy in Chicago. Uh-huh. And so they have been on the scene for about 2 years now. They've been working for Zelo Pro since the time that they debuted, and they've really shown a lot of gusto. They have a lot of potential. They have tons of charisma. They remind me a little bit of the Rascals in a way, and more so in the Bang Energy kind of being their substance of choice. But they have put on some very entertaining matches, and they have done very well in Zelo Pro. And they faced Country Air when we were last in Turner Hall Ballroom in October, and they put on a barn burner of a match. And both tag teams came to us requesting a rematch, as the Bang Bros came out on top of that one. So we were happily being able to oblige them, because it was certainly an entertaining one. It's one that you can watch for free on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ZeloPro. All of our previous matches are there available. So if you're looking to get a little preview of what to expect from the Bang Bros, you can find several matches of theirs on our YouTube channel, just to familiarize yourself with that. But it's certainly one to keep an eye on. It will be an exciting tag team match if you're one for tag team actions, for sure.
Oh, for sure. There's a huge audience for tag team wrestling these days.
As there should be, yeah.
As it should be, because it's an art form. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see more about to see more from these guys. And Country Air, they've been around they're not exactly 25-year veterans, but they've been around the block a couple of times. Is this the first time that they wrestled for Zelo?
This will be the second. So in October was the first time, the first time they had worked for us, and we were in their home area of Milwaukee last time. So they certainly impressed, and they're hence the reason why they're coming back.
There you go. You just have to, you impress Matt, you get booked. That's how it works, fellas.
Simple.
All right. That's fantastic. The other match that was already announced was Big John Crowley versus Joey Jet Avalon, a battle of Wisconsinites. Joey Avalon, he's a standard, right? In the Midwest in Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
He's current ICW champion. Big John as well. He's another Wisconsin guy, which is why it's a battle of the Wisconsinites, right?
Yes, indeed.
I mean, they have similar styles, right? This should be this should be a good old fashioned fight, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe the way that Joey Avalon put it'll be an old fashioned Haas fight in Wisconsin, because truly they're two big behemoths, corn fed and Wisconsin raised. So you never know what to expect. John Crowley had his debut for us back in October and was an instant star in terms of the crowd feedback and just enjoying his size and stature, but also his personality. And so from that one match, it's just incredible to see how far he's taken off. And so we're excited to be able to now give further opportunities to get these guys out there and see them in action. So that's another one that'll be fun to watch.
It should be a lot of fun. We even got a friend of the MrWarrenHayes show, 5th generation Carney Joseph with it. Yes, that is his entire avatar name. He says he's just quite simply go Joey Jet Avalon. Yeah, he's got he's got a following.
He's got a fan base.
Like him.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. So those were the matches these are the matches that have been announced so far. Let's get into the good stuff. Let's get into the really, really juicy stuff here. The things that you're not that the reveal is all about. We're going to start even with, you were talking a little earlier that, that you like to position your women's division, and give them a nice spotlight. You've got a couple of extra matches with some women here. And we are going to talk about right now and reveal that Brooke Valentine is going to be taking on Charlie Cruel.
Yeah.
Brooke Valentine is, her name is starting to go around quite a bit on the indies. Maybe you even saw her over the WrestleMania week.
Sure did.
Just a few days ago. She was on a few GCW shows. She was at the For the Culture show, for instance. Charlie Cruel, she's been wrestling since 2018, so still fairly new. First time wrestling for Zelo, if I'm not mistaken, Matt. Talk us through this match. What should we expect on this one here?
I think that's exactly it. You have to expect the unexpected with this one, as both competitors, to be honest, I don't know if they have ever faced each other in singles competition before. And to your point, Charlie Cruel, is the first time that she will be here at Zelo Pro, an Indiana native. Brooke Valentine debuted for us in the fall against Lainey Luck for a shot at the women's championship, which she fell short on, but certainly showed the Zelo Pro fans as well as her standard fans exactly what she's capable of doing. So it's two very different styles of competitors here, and potentially facing for the first time in a new state. I don't believe either one of them has ever competed at Turner Hall Ballroom before either. So there's a lot of different nuances here that we can certainly expect the unexpected in a lot of ways, but nonetheless, I think it's going to be a fantastic competition. And the women's division in indie wrestling is rich with, a lot of people are being signed and taken up to the next level, but there is so much talent here. And to be able to see them live or via fight in new ways that you would never have before, we're certainly excited because our women's division is one of the toughest that there has ever been, and we are looking to ramp that up quite a bit, even more so than we have in the past. So being able to see two brand new competitors go head to head is certainly going to be an exciting thing to see.
I'm excited for it too, and that's one of these narratives that we hear quite a bit about. It's like, the indies are always, nature abhors a void, right?
Yes,
it's
indeed.
just as
Yes,
simple
indeed.
as that. Just if talent goes away from the indie. Maybe some of your favorite indie stars are heading off, being signed elsewhere. Don't worry.
Right.
And I think this match here might be a good sign of what of what's to come.
Absolutely.
Between Valentine and Charlie Cruel. Next, we are going to reveal another match here. Storm Grayson is going to be taking on Jacob Dean. Storm Grayson, freelance guy. He's been up and down the road with them. Again, a guy that was at the GCW stuff. This WrestleMania week as well. I'm convinced that maybe even if the name doesn't quite ring a bell, you've seen him and you've been wowed. This guy is fantastic. Taking on Jacob Dean, again, gonna be straight up and admit it, not quite familiar with Mr. Dean's work. What can you tell us about Jacob Dean, Matt?
Yeah, so Jacob Dean is another product of the Freelance Wrestling Academy out of Chicago. He started with us in the fall. We actually had a Freelance Wrestling Academy open invitational when we returned in the fall in August. That basically Freelance Wrestling Academy gave us 4 of their best students that went head-to-head in a 4-way match, and the winner of that match got a contract to work for Zelo Pro. Jacob Dean won that match. So, to your point, he is relatively new, but he has certainly made a name for himself. The guy has the body of $1 million, an incredible body guy, can work in the ring, is known as the Maniac is his moniker, and he certainly can put it out there. And so we've seen him work a couple matches for us now. Again, if you head out to our YouTube channel, you can familiarize yourself. A couple of his matches are up there with us. But he has taken on Storm Grayson, who's going to be a formidable opponent for him. Storm Grayson has been, like you said, around for quite some time, but he's also been around with us from the very beginning. He is a member of the Blackheart Battalion in Zelo Pro, which was once upon a time headed by Shotzi Blackheart, including Brubaker and Jason Hades. And so Storm Grayson and Jason Hades have been just running things in terms of tag team wrestling here at Zelo Pro. And so this is going to be the first time that we see Storm wrestling in singles action for Zelo for the first time in a while. The guy has been working incredibly hard during the pandemic. You can see that in his work ethic, in his body. He's changed up a lot of the ways that he has been working out and dieting. I know he's switched to being a vegan now, and being able to see that growth that he has with all of those changes has been absolutely incredible. So you got 2 really solid workers here that are coming together for the first time. That's going to show you what Jacob Dean is capable of. Going to remind you what Storm Grayson is capable of in singles action, and it's going to be a fun one.
It is. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, like I said, I'm very familiar with Grayson's work. Very excited to see Jacob. So Jacob Dean, basically what you're saying is, again, he impressed Matt. He got booked. That's basically it again.
He's a star on the rise, man. I'll tell you that.
Boy, I'm excited. I'm excited to see more of him then. Another women's match that we have set up here. I'm just going to pull up the graphic here as we go along. Sierra is going to be taking on Heather Reckless. Sierra, look, she's up and down the Midwest. She's had multiple ICW championships. Heather Reckless, relative newcomer, if I'm not mistaken, Matt. She's relatively new to the game, but so again, maybe not someone that I'm particularly familiar with, but she has we were talking about Jacob Dean, who looks like a star. She has a superstar look herself.
She sure does. And that's I think also just kind of overarching what we're most excited about is being able to put together some matchups and bring some talent in that you might not be familiar with, that you've never seen before, that really can bring it when it comes to professional wrestling. And being able to provide that platform here at Zelo has always been one of our foundations, is being able to provide that platform to take stars and give them the opportunity that will get them noticed or take them to the next level, which we've done time and time again. So this match is going to be certainly exciting. Sierra is as bad as they come, and she debuted for us as well back in Milwaukee in October, so this will be her follow-up. She was in a 4-way match back in October against Sky Blue and Annie Apples and Missa Kate, and so who are Mrs. certainly a Zelo staple as well, and her match will be announced sometime later this week. But being able to see singles action with Sierra and Heather Reckless, who is making her debut for Zelo Pro, she has certainly been relatively new, but working her way up. She works at CSW in the Chicagoland area and has been making a really big name for herself. So again, another one of those matches in the women's division that can really take things to another level and is really going to bolster that women's division. And depending on how things go between Lainey and Jordan, I think there's going to be a lot of viable contenders for that women's championship in the near future.
I agree. This is another like testament to what you said earlier. We're betting on our women, creating a really good women's division. And I mean, part of getting into, you were talking about, through Heather, booking Heather on the show, giving the fans the opportunity to discover new talent. That's part of the fun of going to an indie show. It's watching people. Yep. Sure, you want your, you want your Lainey Lux, you want, you want your Storm Graysons, value-added names, right? But then, you get to discover new talent, new up-and-comers. Again, the cycle has to continue, right? You just can't.
It really does. It really does. I mean, to put it in a way, once upon a time, all of your favorite WWE stars, for the most part, were indie darlings or newcomers in the indie scene that were discovered and then worked their way up, and now they are headlining WrestleManias. And it's really the cycle and the way you see things, but it has to start somewhere. And so we are incredibly proud to be able to be part of that process and to be able to give these opportunities to really hardworking, talented individuals. And so if this is the first time that you are seeing a Heather Reckless or a John Crowley or a Jacob Dean and they impress you, that's what it's all about, because you're going to remember them and they're going to continue working their asses off, and someday you're going to see them on that big stage.
There was an announcement that you made as well, but didn't exactly announce. We don't know in what capacity he's going to be taking in what capacity he'll be participating in the show, but AEW star and indie stalwart, let's also make sure that one's underscored there.
Absolutely.
Colt Cabana is going to be at Wrestlefest as well on May 1st. How did this come together? I mean, he's big time now, right?
Man, Colt has moved all the credit to Colt in the world, but he has moved his way up in the world. He's always been sensational, and he has had some stellar matches for Zelo Pro in the past. We've seen him work one of the funniest matches I've ever seen against Hornswoggle. He's worked against some of our local guys in Storm Grayson and Bryce Benjamin, and has really been he really was formative in Zelo's first couple of startup years. And so we're more than excited that he's back. We had conversations early on as we were kind of heading out of the pandemic that he wants to come back. He's excited to come back to the indie scene post AEW, and he's fully vaccinated, so he couldn't be more excited to be able to kind of give that a run for its money. But when we had our conversations, he was very much kind of elusive in terms of what he wanted to do. So to your point, I don't necessarily know what his plans are either. I know that he's going to be at Wrestlefest in some capacity. You'll certainly get the opportunity to meet him. He may wrestle, he may not. I really don't know. And I think that's part of the creative genius that is Colt Cabana. He wants to keep his options open. And I think there's certainly some fun to that when it comes to wrestling, is you don't want to know everything ahead of time. Like the best reactions in wrestling come from when you're surprised or from when something happens that you don't anticipate. So maybe that's what we can expect from Colt. All I know is that if you come to Wrestlefest or you stream it on May 1st, you'll see our friend Boom Boom Colt Cabana in some capacity.
Well, I mean, at the very, very least, right? At the very least.
Yeah, at the very least.
He'll be there shaking hands, kissing babies, at the very least.
Absolutely. So, he may be on commentary. He may be a guest referee. I have no idea what the man wants to do, and that's the benefit of being Colt Cabana, is he could do whatever he wants. So we'll allow him to do
or
that.
As Chris Kashinery in the chat said, good old Scotty Goldman, boom, boom. Absolutely. I want to say hello to Kristen Ashley as well, who just joined us in the chat. Good to see you, Kristen. So that'll be exciting. So big mystery around. Well, big mystery. He's going to be there. But what is he going to do?
He'll be there.
That, like you said, it's the mark of the mark of a truly creative guy to just be like, hey, I'll see what inspiration comes. You know, like Van Gogh. Colt Cabana is like Van Gogh.
That's a fantastic comparison.
But the big one, let's get to the big one. We've got, we've officially got 2 matches left, but there's one that we're keeping in our pocket. And I'm glad Kristen popped in, because it'll be a perfect time to just segue into this very shortly. We have one more match that is going to be announced over on belltobells.com for WrestleFest on May 1st. So we're not giving exactly that one away, but since it's going to be announced on Bell to Bells, well, you can probably guess it's going to be one more women's match on top of that. We can give you that much.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So follow Bell to Bells on Twitter, or just or bookmark Bell. Do people still do that? Do you still bookmark websites, Matt?
Turn on notifications, whatever you need to do. Yeah, I bookmark my favorite web pages.
Okay, I don't think I've bookmarked anything in years. It's weird. Anyway, but the big match, the big thing, the top match that we have to reveal, that
before you throw that graphic up, I didn't show you this before the event, but I have it actually here with me. So we have been teasing this for quite some time. Had the pandemic not happened, this may have been revealed or crowned already. But May 1st, WrestleFest, it's going to happen. We are crowning the very first Zelo Pro champion.
Whoa! What?
The belt is here in my possession.
Look at that.
If you haven't seen it before, here it is. Feast your eyes. It's probably one of my favorite titles that I have ever seen, let alone had the pleasure of holding.
Holy smokes.
The design work is absolutely incredible. Our friends at Wildcat Belts designed this and brought it to life for us. And we could not be more excited that this title will be contended for on May 1st.
That is a gorgeous belt. Look at the detail, the green trim on everything. Like of course, with the Z in the middle. I say Z because I'm from Canada, right? But the Z in the middle, it pops out. But look at the green trim. That is a gorgeous belt. Chat is agreeing, Matt, at the same time. I think you're getting A+ on this title. Congratulations. That's a beautiful belt.
You.
And great work to Wildcat Belts as well. That's
yes,
fantastic
indeed.
stuff. So yes,
that belt will be contended for. We will crown our very first Zelo Pro champion at WrestleFest on May 1st. And if you're throwing the graphic up there now at this point, it will be via a ladder match. The first ladder match that has ever happened at Zelo Pro. The first ladder matches that has happened maybe ever, and if not for a while, at Turner Hall Ballroom. I couldn't think of a more perfect venue to have this type of match in, because it's going to be spectacular. And things have changed so much. Originally we were doing tournament style for this, and sometimes we were qualifying athletes, and so it's come to the point where we just can't wait any longer. We're jumping out of our seats. We want to see somebody holding this title, and we want to be able to get it into contention, as we've only had our women's championship for the 3 years that we've been around.
Which is wild when you think about it. It's like, no, but I mean, it's not something that you necessarily think of. Like, was it a conscious decision to like start off with a women's belt and then eventually get like, or was it just like happenstance, which is entirely?
Yeah, no, we'll take it back just real quick. It was a conscious decision, is because truly women's wrestling has always been a goal of ours to make sure that we're putting at the forefront. How do we do that? We only have one title, and it's our women's title. That's the top title in the company. That is the focus. That's the main event. And we have so many talented women on our roster within our peripheral that are coming in for the first time that it allowed us to really capitalize on that for our first couple of years. And it worked really well, and it still does. And it's still going to be our focus moving forward. But we needed to increase opportunities. We have all of these talented individuals, both male and female and non-binary. And this is not a male title. And I'll make that clear, is that this is just the Zelo Pro Championship.
Okay.
So it can be competed by anyone on our roster for that matter. But it's also not going to take away from the prestige of our women's championship. So being able to know that it's not going to become secondary, even though this is just the Zelo Pro Championship, it's going to be equal. If not, the women's title is still going to have just as much prestige as it ever has. So, to make that clear, but we're incredibly excited to put this out there in a ladder match capacity. I think that creates a whole nother environment and really kind of changes the game a little bit, because it doesn't necessarily rely strictly on your skill and your abilities in the ring, or your size for that matter. It really has a chance of luck and opportunity and just being in the right place at the right time. So I'll preface all of that with that we have selected 6 of our best competitors via a lottery process here at Zelo Pro, based on win-loss record, based on their longevity with us, and an assortment of factors that were kind of put together by a committee locally.
Okay.
And so, but we haven't announced them in official capacity. You see the graphic up there. The competitors are not on it. So we're also kind of just knowing that, card subject to change as well. So you never know what to expect with Zelo Pro, and knowing that if somebody kind of comes into the fold in the next couple of weeks that is like, hey, the viable contender may become a 6-person or a 7-person or 8-person ladder match.
Whoa. Stick
around and find out. But I will reveal right now that the competitors that have been fortunate enough to be selected include Bryce Benjamin,
right,
who had previously won a qualifying match to compete for the Zelo Championship, right, previously against Mojo McQueen back in October. So that is going to stand. Then we have CJ Esparza, formerly one half of Zero Gravity, a very formidable opponent and one of the best high flyers in the Midwest, if not the country. He was seen all over WrestleMania weekend as well. And truly, since competing in singles action, the guy has been undefeated at Zelo Pro over the last year since we've had events. So it was only natural for us to include him in this contention. And I can only just imagine the type of things CJ Esparza can do in a ladder match.
Absolutely.
So I think that's something that is certainly worth being excited for. It's someone who is also within his own backyard is the Filth King Brubaker. Will be in this contention as well. He had a hell of a run against Matt Raywalt, the Drama King, formerly Aiden English, back in the fall, and put things on another level for his individual competitorship. It was another natural selection for him to be a part of that competitor process.
And I love the guy, and right here, he's adding a whole other dimension to this ladder match here.
Yeah,
because Esparza, he's like you said, like the guy's a daredevil. He's absolutely fantastic. Brubaker's a whole other 9 yards.
Whole other story, man. Yeah. It's certainly going to be fun. To that point, another guy who has been really big for us, who has had an incredible, successful career over last year, is Mason Conrad. The guy has been around for over a decade at this point, trained by Harley Race, but he has been a White Castle champion for us. If anyone has followed our shows with the Windy City Thunderbolts in 2019, he's been on quite the hot streak over last year, had a barn burner of a match against Gary J back in the fall. So he has earned his spot in contendership for this new Zelo Championship. Let's see. I think there are two more.
There are 2 more.
Yeah, there are 2 more. So a guy that we have not seen for a little while, who is certainly coming back into the fold, is the Academic Standard GPA. Will be returning to Zelo Pro after quite a long hiatus. and it'll be his first match back at Zelo since before the pandemic. Last time he competed for us was in January of 2020. So we recently saw him return to freelance wrestling against Laney Luck. And so this will be his, who knows what he has going on between now and then, but this will be the first time that he's back competing since then.
Very interesting. He's Kristen Ashley's favorite wrestler. I don't know if you know that.
Really? I personally did not know that.
They're on a bit of a, they have a bit of a Twitter feud going on.
Okay. I mean, GPA tends to have quite a few Twitter feuds.
It's one amongst many, but no, that's exciting. I love GPA, and I mean, if we're using the lingo here, he's a fantastic heel. He's so good at what he does.
Truly,
he really
the best of the best. And he has been with us from the beginning. At the very first Zelo show, he was in a triple threat match against Isaiah Velasquez and Simon Gotch, which, since day one, and he's been a Chicago staple for the longest time, once holding every single viable championship there was to hold in the Chicagoland area. So we could not be more excited that he's returning for us, and as well as he'll be competing for this title. And then last but not least, and as of right now, as of right now, all the competitors are male. We know that, we're aware of that. It's kind of the way that the cards have fallen and the way that this selection process has worked. But to the point, you never know what's going to happen as things go forward and the way that competitors, ramp up. But the final competitor for this match is a guy that we have certainly enjoyed. He has been making quite a name for himself again, and that's Egotistico Fantastico. You might know him as Robert Anthony. Robert Ego Anthony recently wrestled for AEW, has been around for as long as they have been a staple in AAW and CZW back in the day. He's competed for us quite a bit. And we certainly enjoy when he comes to Zelo Pro because he dons the mask. He leaves Frank the Clown at home.
I was going to say, okay, well, there you go. That's a big win right there for the fans.
Yes, indeed. So Egotistico Fantastico is the sixth competitor for the new Zelo Pro Championship.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, this is going to be a really good card, and this is going to be a really good match in and about itself. Bryce Benjamin, Cesar Esperanza, Brubaker, Mason Conrad, GPA, and Robert Anthony. I don't know. That's a hell of a show, a hell of a main event that you're putting on right there, Matt. So. Ladder match. Hopefully, there's going to be enough ladder matches enough ladders at the venue. For all these people.
For all those guys.
Exactly, and like you said, you never know what might happen in the meantime. Right. You might get a few extra people in there. You never know. You never know what can happen. Of course.
You never know. Only one way to find out.
What is that only way to find out, Matt?
There's two ways there, Warren. The first is you could be there in person. We still have a limited number of tickets available. You could get those via the Pabst Theater Group, who have been a great partner for us at Turner Hall Ballroom. If you navigate to zelopro.com, it has all of our links. If you're unable to be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on May 1st, that's okay. No matter where you're watching across the country, around the world, you can stream it on Fight TV for just $12.99. That's going to be streamed live for the entire event, and we could not be more excited. The card is going to be phenomenal. There is still more to be announced. There may be a couple of surprises, but that's the beauty of professional wrestling. That's the joy of being able to return to live events in front of a live audience. We could not be more excited. We certainly appreciate the feedback and the reception, the excitement that we've gotten so far. And truly, I can't wait for us to get this ball rolling, because truly this is just the re-beginning of events again, and especially for Zelo Pro.
It's going to be so good. Why not just start kicking it off? I mean, we had a taste of it this WrestleMania week, and now coming back to things more on the reg, it's fantastic. So let's just run this down. What we know so far: Laney Luck is going to defend her Zelo Pro Women's Championship against Jordan Grace. We got the Bang Bros versus Country Air, a rematch from last year that they're going to be having. Joey Jet Avalon versus Big John Crowley. Wisconsin battle. It's just going to tear it all apart.
Behemoths, man. Absolutely.
Brooke Valentine is going to be taking on Charlie Cruel. Storm Grayson versus Jacob Dean. Also got Sierra versus Heather Reckless. Colt Cabana is going to be there in some capacity. And then that ladder match to crown the very first Zelo Pro champion. I'm excited for this. I'm really, really looking forward to what's going on. And we already know there's one more match still left to be announced, but you got to keep your eyes out on belltobells.com for that one. Other than that,
Absolutely.
Matt, where else? We know where to find a pay-per-view, but if we just want to keep abreast of everything that's happening with Zelo, where should people follow you? Social media, whatever.
Absolutely. So anyone who is not familiar with us, we have every match that we've ever had available for free on our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Zelo Pro. So you can get caught up on everything that we've been doing to this point in the time between now and Wrestlefest. Otherwise, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Zelo Pro. On Twitter, we're at Zelo Wrestling. And then, of course, if you want to stock up on your Zelo Pro merch between now and Wrestlefest, you can do that at prowrestlingtees.com/Zelo Pro.
Oh, and one last thing, of course, that we have to mention, Kristen Ashley's feud with GPA is also going to be settled once and for all. And
Settled.
So there we go. So thank you so much, Matt, for joining me.
Absolutely.
This was a pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on, giving me the jump off of all of those dirt sheets. I'm kidding, but I do appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, Warren. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to doing it again.
Absolutely. We'll have you on soon. Can't wait to, because there'll be more Zelo. Absolutely more.
Plenty more to come.
Down the road. Absolutely. Thank you again, Matt. Thank you everyone for joining us here live tonight, or if you're listening to this later on your own accord. Hey, thank you so much. Consider giving the video a thumbs up and share it out there. Let people know that this card, May 1st, Wrestlefest, is going to be awesome. There's too much stuff here to not get hype about it. Hope everyone has a great rest of their evening. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.